I think that we watching a great fighter who had a really, really high peak from the time he beat Triple G in the second fight to when he ran through the super middleweight tournament and unified all of the belts. And I seen sometimes after you go all the way up here, sometimes there's nowhere else to go. When we seen him fight Bivol, he took some punishment that fight. And he kind of never really, got back to the point of where he was at for the second Triple G fight. And that's okay. And I think that good coaches, every time you go up against a good trainer, they got the videos of your last fight. So they kind of know all the little things that you're doing and things like that. And you can only evolve but so much. You know what I'm saying? Canelo almost got 70 fights, man. He been fighting a long time. I just think that we just seeing a great fighter on his way out. That's it. There's nothing. He's 35. He almost got 70 fights. The man might fight 2, 3 more times in his career. And that's just what it is. And you just gotta, and Bud just is a little bit better. You know what I mean? I don't want to take away from Bud's victory or anything like that. I just think that Canelo's just at a place in his career where it's like, you know, uh, we're about to go get him a Hall of Fame jacket. He's getting there to that point. You know what I mean? And I think Bud's better. But I definitely saw that Canelo wasn't running his punches off the way he was earlier in his career. And I did, and I think that it's also a style thing. Again, I keep bringing up Lara and Trout because if you look at their body dimensions, the southpaw stance, if you look at them really good, they gave Canelo a lot of trouble. And I believe that Bud Crawford is a level above Trout and Lara, even though Trout and Lara are excellent fighters. I believe Bud is in a different place in terms of being a fighter. So I said if they could give him that kind of trouble when he was 24, 23 years old, imagine what Bud could give him now. You know what I mean? And even though Bud was older, I think Bud is fresher. His body is fresher. He hasn't taken the punishment. Look at Canelo face in that fight. He was stressed out, bro. Look at him. He was like stressed. He had a lot on him. You know what I mean? He wasn't like all like bloody to a pulp, but his face had trauma on it from them punches, man. Canelo's been through a lot. Been through a lot of fights. He's been hit by some really big guys. And, I think we saw his peak when we saw it, which was about 4 years ago. And he's not throwing combinations no more because that it runs out after a while, running your hands off with them hard, fast combinations like that. Canelo's more of evolved into like kind of a 1-2 shot guy where he slides up on you, but he's still a counter puncher. And I just don't feel like that pace is enough for Bud because Bud ain't gonna be intimidated by 1 or 2 big shots. He gonna hold his hands up, he gonna catch it, he gonna smile at you, and he gonna go back to work. That's not gonna intimidate him. He's a different level of fighter that the guys Canelo been fighting.
Right, right. I'll get into the super chat. SK Simpson, thank you for the $2. Where were Canelo's jabs and counter punches? What do you feel like? Why you feel like Canelo didn't go out and sit back? Do you feel like the speed was just too much for Canelo?
And one thing I'm not gonna do is criticize Canelo. He was doing the best he could. The
Right.
jabs and the counter punches wasn't there because Bud wasn't there to be hit with him. You know what I mean? He was doing the best he could. He was trying new wrinkles. He was trying to left hook to the body. He was trying to lead right hand. He was trying to like feint high and go low, trying to feint low and go high. Bud was on top of that shit, man. You know what I'm saying? He was on top of Canelo's games. He knew Canelo's traps that he sets, and he just saw he just saw it coming now. Canelo would have had to kind of reinvent himself to show Bud something that he hasn't seen. And who can reinvent themselves at 35? You know what I
What they
mean?
say.
It's
What they
not
say. You,
impossible, but it's
yeah.
definitely tough.
100%. MoneyGrams, thank you for the $2 as well. Appreciate it. Now getting into when it came down to Canelo, they were asking about comparisons to Floyd Mayweather. He said Floyd Mayweather is a way better fighter. I mean, nobody. Crawford's a way better fighter than Floyd Mayweather. I mean, what's your reactions? Do you feel like Crawford, that type of display, was a lot better than what Floyd did to Canelo?
You know what, man? I'm not gonna get into that because I see what's going on with Floyd and Roy, and it's just crazy. And I want to let Bud enjoy his victory. And last thing I want to do is be quoted on saying Floyd is better than Bud or Bud is better than Floyd, and they two at each other's throats. Let just Bud live in his moment. He live in his era. Floyd was in his era. Both of them is great fighters, and that's just that. I don't want to get into the comparisons back and forth because them guys is crazy competitive. Next thing you know, they be wanting to fight each other. It's something crazy, man. It's just they both great. They both great. They fought different Canelos. They fought them in different ways, different times in his life. And Bud and Floyd don't fight the same. They got some of similar traits, but they line up differently. They do things differently. And I know it's a great matchup. And I got in my head who I think will probably have the advantage, but I don't want to get into that.
Okay. Okay. Um, when it came down to talking to him about, future fights, do you feel like to be a six-time division champion, him going down 160? I heard him talking about it with Mario Lopez. Who do you feel like he should get a title shot to fight at 160? And yeah, where do you feel like that does for his career, being a six-time, six division champion, three-time undisputed, three-time division undisputed? I mean, yeah, where do you put him in that all-time list?
Who's the champions at 160? Johnny Beck, um,
John Beck, is Adamas still a champion? Or he has
Adamas, I think, WBC, and who's the WBA champion? Oh, Laura.
Laura.
Um,
Laura.
shit. I think he could beat all of them.
All of them.
Yeah, I do. Um, yeah. I mean, you still got to do it. I mean, he just at a special place, man. You know what I mean? The four best fighters I've seen in my lifetime, I always say, is Ray Leonard, Pernell Whitaker, Roy Jones, and Floyd Mayweather. That's the Mount Rushmore of my lifetime. Bud is, you know, he's somewhere around there. I gotta really sit down and think about it. I want to kind of let the man enjoy his victory. I don't want to be putting people over or up under him, but he's special. He's definitely special. Definitely, maybe the best of this era. Maybe Usyk. I don't know. It's tough to call. I like Bud, but I know people are gonna say Usyk because of the heavyweight thing, and I don't want to argue with that because it's tough. One of the best fighters of this century, and one of the best switch hitters ever, if not the best. One of the best southpaws ever, if not the best. He's up there. Like he's in a rare place, man. A rare place that when you can put a guy here in real time, you know he's special. Because usually you get that a little bit later. I don't know exactly where he's at, but let's let everything play out. But he's up there. He's pretty high, man. The best I've seen is probably Leonard and Jones. Bud's getting
Mm.
there, man. That's all I can say. That's he's getting there. He's something special, man. He's something special. He's a great fighter.
JDZ, thank you for the $20. When Breadman talks, I stop whatever I'm doing to listen. He's been spot on about Bud from day one. Salute Bread, salute Mills for the nonstop content and diligent work. Respect to Canelo, but all hail King Crawford and the new. This is big now. Tell me, as far as Crawford is concerned, um, what would you do? Would you take a break? Would you go right into a rematch with Canelo if offered? I mean, that's big money.
I don't know, man. I know Bud is about 38 and he seems like an active father.
Right.
And I know these camps get tough. So I could see him walking away. I could see him maybe taking another shot at 160 to be a six division champion instead of a five division because he did skip a weight division. Um, I don't know. You know what I mean? I I, I don't think he's going to retire because he seemed like such a competitive person, but I think that we got to appreciate him while he's here because I don't think it would be a lot if he was to fight three more times. I think at most maybe one or two more. but I really don't see no opponents on the horizon. I think the Ennis thing is long gone. You know what I mean? I don't think Ennis is going to jump to 68 when he hasn't even won a title at 54. I don't think he's going to do that.
I don't
Um,
think Crawford's hanging out at 68 either way.
yeah, so I don't think that'll happen. People may want to see that. Jamel, him and Crawford was jawing back and forth, but I don't think that ever came to any fruition. Even though he hasn't been at 60, there's no big names at 60. 68, maybe the Benavidez fight. That's a tough fight for Bud. I ain't gonna lie. That's a tough fight. Benavidez ain't no
Benavidez.
joke. Yeah, that's a tough fight. I don't know if Bud can overcome that. That's different. That's a lot. That's a lot to overcome. Height, reach, the speed of Benavidez coming downhill, the stamina, because this a guy that does get stronger as the fight goes also. So some of the advantages he had over Canelo, he wouldn't have at Benavidez. I think it will be a question if Benavidez can make the weight. I know he's been at 75 recently. He would have to go back down to 68. That would be an issue. It's really not a lot of people for Bud to fight. You know what I mean? One of these things that I see, then I gotta go, man. But one of these things that I see is that the promoters and everybody, they want big fights, but nobody's building stars. You know what I mean? All the stars that are getting on the
I
platform are
wasn't able to hear
already.
you.
I said I see now that the promoters don't really want to build. They want to put on big fights, but they want ready-made stars. But after guys like the Canelos and the Buds and things like that leave or win big fights, they need other opponents. So you got promoters that they're not building stars. They're not building opponents for, these kind of guys. I mean, they tried their best with Belanga, but, you know, um, you just gotta just comes with Cherise is being built. Maybe that's an option. Maybe that's an option. I don't know if Bud would fight him. That kid's 6'3". But um Hamza Cherise is the biggest name for him to fight. If you really, really think about the 68 landscape as far as marketability, chance to win, intrigue, and all of that. But boxing is, we're getting some big fights, but we need to build some stars for the future. We need to get some guys like Bud had to be 1-0 and 2-0 and 3-0 and before he got to 42-0. And Bud is getting these fights now, and the man is 37 years old. It took him a long time to get to this place. Most people wouldn't have went through what he went through to get to this point. So I feel like that boxing needs to start building more stars so we could look around and have opponents for these guys. Remember back in the day, right? When Bernard Hopkins had 20 title defenses, who was HBO building? Jermaine Taylor. Remember that?
Maintain.